Well, good morning. Happy New Year. Welcome back. Good morning, everyone. I'm George Payne, Vice President and Provost for the Applied Technologies Department, the Gudelsky Institute for Technical Education, and Workforce Development and Continuing Education. Dr. Brad Stewart, who normally hosts this meeting, sends his best wishes. He's out sick, and we wish him a speedy recovery. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you here to the Takoma Park Silver Spring campus and joining us through live stream to the Spring 2018 Collegewide opening meeting. As the tradition, the campus host is able to offer a few area updates. So if you would join me with a little trip around the county, a few of our highlights and things that are going on in our area that you may be aware of. Some of our non-credit programs are out in the hinterlands, so frequently people are not aware of all the different things that are going on. So let's start up at Germantown. On a wintry Saturday morning, our clinical trial project management students were getting ready to present their pitch for how to administer and manage clinical trials under the tutelage of a corporate partner, Amarec's clinical research organization. Students learn about the protocols, the processes, the project management strategies and techniques to bring a product to market. They present with a group effort, and they get feedback from the industry practitioners on areas of strength, weaknesses, and areas to improve. Students who are interested in going on in these career areas do real well. There are about 100 students on a wait list for this course as it comes up again. Let's speed out to the East County, to our East County Regional Center, where our community engagement centers are hosting a early childhood education certificate program for East County residents. This particular course would have been sponsored by a donor, an industry partner, in this case a corporate sponsor, to provide some additional opportunities for students who might not have that opportunity otherwise. So about 20 students gained an entry-level credential, early childhood education. They could work as employees, or they could also think about entrepreneurial activities for themselves. If we come back to Gaithersburg Business Training Center, we might look in and see a supervisory leadership training program for City of Gaithersburg employees. So this would be a contract training course. We do a lot of partnering with the City of Gaithersburg, as we do with many municipal and county governments in the area of contract training. Come down to Rockville, and we had a wonderful groundbreaking, of course, for the new Student Services Center. Professor Mario Parcon in our construction management program is just beaming with pride when he sees a former student in the lineup of Grundley Construction Management Company, the contractor for the new building. So as he's proudly making the introductions, and that's one of our students, a second former student comes up who's also on the project management team with Grundley. The student's going to have a wonderful living lab right in front of the Applied Tech Department. If you haven't seen that, the progress since your break, it's just moving speedily along. The reinforcement is going on as the substructure is being excavated. Go slightly up North Campus Drive to the Alternate Energy Pavilion, recently finished by the Gudelsky Institute folks. Students will be able to hook up, install, monitor, measure, assess the performance of alternate energy techniques there. We have residential and solar, and commercial solar panels, as well as a wind turbine. We go into the Gudelsky Institute, we would see a large grant-funded program, one of the 3 large federal grants currently underway. This was a tech hire program. It's drawing on the strength of a well-established program now the county actually supports for Montgomery College. It's called the Maryland Integrated Basic Education and Skills Training. Acronym, of course, we must have is MyBest. The students are actually benefiting from a integrated basic education, skill mastery, language skill acquisition, and technical training at the same time as a contextualized approach Students do very well, see, practice, do, apply, repeat, reinforcements along the way. So about 20 students completed the A+ microcomputer repair certification under that system there before the break. We drive around to the Manatee building. You might know that there are no offices on the first floor anymore. We are delighted to be able to move into 11 new training spaces that have been provided through the wonderful work of facilities and procurement. These will be 11 training areas: CPOD, Elite, Workforce Development Continuing Ed. The Collegewide IT training facility will be making that ground floor kind of a community hub for employee training and development. One additional thing we'll be doing with CPOD is taking the wonderful standalone courses that you are familiar with, and we'll be opening those up to our sister agencies and other governmental organizations. So much like our co-listed classes with credit and non-credit, we'll have internal staff sitting next to delegates from any number of other governmental agencies in our area. Next stop might be the Westfield Shopping Center. If you were there at 7 o'clock, most weekday mornings, you would see several hundred students coming in for an early morning ESOL class. They're on their way to work. They're learning English speaking, reading, comprehension skills, and they're doing very well, very diligent and hardworking students, also a very heavily used center. Last stop, Takoma Park, across the street, across the driveway there is our wonderful Kayford Center and some community arts offerings that are really extending the reach of credit courses and non-credit out into the communities. Many of our co-listing classes, co-listing is where you have a credit course that has set aside some non-credit seats. What happens, the faculty find that many of the students who take the non-credit course actually become majors. They were able to go in as an introductory exploratory, kind of a low threshold, get in, they look around, they see things they like. The students like themselves, they see the faculty that are dedicated, and they see our wonderful training spaces. And the next thing you know, they become majors. In the Middle States study, there's a nice reference to the Kennedy report, which highlighted about 1,500 students each year are taking both credit and non-credit. There's a swirling between credit and non-credit opportunities, so it's a great way to expose students to a whole array of college offerings. Last stop would be this room the week before the break, and we had the health science program was so nicely hosted, a wonderful completion event for 242 health career students. They certified nursing assistant, medical assistant, phlebotomy tech, dialysis tech, EKG, PT, OT, farm tech, physician's office assistant, all those related careers. The students identify a spokesperson for the group. They come up and the story goes something like this. Generally there's this, these are students from all over the world, probably their first time in a formal college setting. They express some concern, some anxiety, questioning about their capabilities. In the course of the one semester sequence, they go from confusion, self-doubt, to affirmation, confirmation, pride. They begin to appreciate the journeys that their fellow students have taken. They bond with the faculty member. They speak about the rigor and the relevance of the experiences they've had. They're very proud of their achievements. The department hosts a very nice reception. The program ends, the students don't leave. 3 sheet cakes disappeared momentarily. I think the unit has decided we need a 4th cake next year, so we're going to need a bigger cake. So lots of good opportunities. I would just encourage you to explore the wonderful opportunities that can be made through these continuums of educational opportunities that are reaching students where they are. With that, thanks for your attendance, and please join me in welcoming Montgomery College President, Dr. DeRionne Pollard.
Well, good morning, everyone. So yeah, it's a new look. Don't get attached. As you all know, it's likely to be different next week. But we tried something new. And I also want to thank George for offering that view of Montgomery College's mission and what we do so well. I think our opening meetings are best when we center ourselves on our mission and we elevate student voices. And that is one thing that we're going to start the meeting off today with. Many of us here at Montgomery College are excited to attend the Achieving the Dream conference in Nashville, Tennessee next month. And we're in our second year as an ATD school, and we're learning a great deal about how we promote learning, equity, diversity, and cultural responsiveness. But I'm particularly excited this year because we will get an experience from a student perspective as well. A Montgomery College student, Ricardo Campos, has been selected as a 2018 Dream Scholar and will represent Montgomery College at Dream 2018. Now, there are only 6 students from across the nation who are accepted or chosen for this honor through a competitive national application process. And Ricky stood out in front of all of the ATD evaluators. I have to agree that his story is indeed an exceptional educational journey, and it has been filled with both triumphs and challenges that I know will shape his experience as a Dream Scholar. In order to lift up the student voice here today, we have invited him this morning to share his story with you, and I hope you will be inspired by his message and continue to all that you do to advance student success here at Montgomery College. Please join me in welcoming Ricky Campos.
Good morning, everyone. I have to admit that I was very nervous to be here today. My name is Ricardo Campos, and I immigrated with my family at the age of 12 after my father was life threat in my home country back in El Salvador. As we were fleeing violence, we arrived to Los Angeles, California, a place where I could finally grow up in peace, go to school, and feel safe once again. After living in Los Angeles in search of opportunities, my family decided to move 3 years later to Maryland, the state that I've been considering home for the last 12 years. I went to Kennedy High School here in Montgomery County, and as I was crossing through my senior year, I realized how difficult it was to be undocumented, how difficult it was to pursue higher education. While I worry about going to college and how I will pay for college, I was diagnosed with bone cancer, osteosarcoma. This was terrifying. This was terrible. This was a very difficult moment in my life. I feared for death, and I didn't even know how I was going to keep on moving forward, being undocumented, not having health insurance, and just pretty much with a certain death in my hands. I trapped myself in a sofa for over a month. But after that moment, I knew that my family needed me and that I needed to fight. I underwent through a 36-hour surgery in Johns Hopkins, hoping for life. I was confined to a wheelchair for over 1 year. Even though I was in a wheelchair, life made more sense. I was alive, and I was there with my family, with my loved ones. As I learned how to walk again, I decided to apply for Montgomery College. It was extremely exciting. It was extremely, and I say extremely excited because I feel very proud as well. Montgomery College being the only college at the time that will allow undocumented immigrants to pay in-county tuition, regardless of their immigration status. Montgomery College has always been exceptional and has been a champion on the immigrant rights. So together, we embarked into fighting back in the time into something that was called the Maryland Dream Act, or a tuition equity law in the state of Maryland. There was an opportunity, not just for Montgomery College students, but for students all across the state to make sure that they were able to go to school, to pursue their dreams, to pursue what they believe on, to pursue what we're taught during school, during high school, which is higher education and for a better life. As we mobilize thousands of youth all across the state of Maryland, we achieved victory. We won the Maryland Dream Act, not once, but twice, through the legislature and through referendum. My battle there didn't stop there. I continue pursuing for ESSA, the Every Student Succeed Act, advocated for this law, and also advocated for DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival. Unfortunately, the program was canceled by the administration, and 800,000 youth all across the nation are in danger. Among those youth, there are many of them who are in your classrooms, who are part of our daily life. Among them also, there's another 200,000 people with temporary protected status, which 40,000 of them live here in the DC metropolitan area. Our life is in danger right now. We could be sent to countries that we don't know any longer, or we don't belong any longer. Once again, our life is in danger. Since our life is in danger, on November 9 last year, 4,000 youth all across the metropolitan area decided to walk out, decided to show that we are willing to stand up in solidarity with the undocumented community, and especially those who have lost their deferred action. 4,000 youth took over the Senate building and advocated for the life of other students, for the life of our community. Now, you as a faculty and administrators, you are agents of change. You are agents of empowerment, transformation, and miracles as well. You have the opportunity to engage with students every single day throughout this entire semester and remind them that they have the most powerful tool, that they can take our Social Security away, our work permit away, but they will never take away our dignity, and they will never take away our stories. Please remind the students to be fearless, to give voice to those that don't have voice, to use this tool, to use our story. Our story has demonstrated through the history of this country that can transform lives, hearts, and minds. I want everyone here to repeat after me. I am somebody, and I deserve full equality. Right here, right now. My students are somebody, and they deserve full equality. Right here, right now. I am Ricardo Campos. Thank you. I am Ricardo Campos. I'm one of 6 2019 Dream Scholars, and I will share my story in the Achieving the Dream annual conference. I am very proud to be here with all of you, and remember my face and my name, Ricardo Campos. You can call me Ricky, but let me tell you this, I'm undocumented, unafraid, and unapologetic. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. President.
I think many of us would agree that that's why we do the work. And today, I'm hopeful that you'll hear many voices throughout the day that inspire you, whether it be our understanding of our mission, as Mr. Payne offered earlier, Ricky's story about some of the faces and voices and experiences of students, to understand some of the important outcomes that we're working on at the college, and also very thoughtfully to hear from our faculty who are using their classrooms to transform the student experience here and student learning. I'm excited, and I hope that you are here. Welcome to the spring opening meeting at our Takoma Park Silver Spring campus. Let me thank our host, as always, for being so wonderful and having us here and making sure that we are well taken care of. And I'll make sure that I'll tell Brad that next year he can show 2 videos of some esoteric rock music to make sure that he can make up for this year. I have to tell you, I am fighting a really bad cold. So if I start barking at some point in this, you'll know where it's coming from. But I think part of it is that I'm not quite used to this weather that we've been having. I don't know about y'all. I'm from Chicago, and I'm used to cold weather. But this is kind of, my father suggested I'm getting a little soft when it comes to weather here. And I would tell you that my son is as well, because this week, on Friday actually, will be turning 11, and he was thoroughly convinced that I should be able to cancel school and call in a snow day for his birthday. And he also thought that I should do one for today as well, since I wasn't feeling well. He's asked me, is it going to be this cold all winter? And I keep telling him, it's going to get better, it's going to get better, but we also know that it's going to require us to just kind of adapt and get used to it. We'll be keeping our eye out on the weather that's predicted to come through tomorrow, or tonight into tomorrow, and let you know how things play out there. But what I do know is that I have no doubt that the cold spell will pass, and in the meantime, we'll have to just hunker down a little bit and make it through the season. Several exciting things, though, are happening here, and at least which will help warm our hearts, if not our bodies. Last week, the Montgomery College Foundation's 2020 campaign received an $800,000 gift, which means they have passed the $20 million mark. That campaign ends in 2020, and now we have about $9 million left to raise. So congratulations to our MC Foundation team and all of you who work with them when we go out on visits, and those of you who contribute yourself as well on behalf of our students. There's also some more exciting news. I hope that you've seen that General Colin Powell will be coming to the college on January 30th. If you don't already have a ticket, though, you may have missed your window, and I apologize for that. I understand that the diehards can wait outside the event and see if there are any empty seats, which have to be filled by 9:30 a.m. that morning. Now, I know that one of the reasons that General Powell is coming to our college, he's attracted to the mix of diversity and academic achievement that we have at Montgomery College. And I'm proud to announce that the college has 8 semifinalists for the Jack Kent Cooke Transfer Scholarships this year. Here's another little story about this. Another part of this is that all 8 of these students were born outside of the United States. Isn't that incredible? I think this speaks volumes to their work ethic and talent, but also to the faculty and staff who have empowered them to reach this stage of an extremely competitive application process. This is a tribute to how we're all keeping students on the right path once they get here to the college. My hat off is to the students, their faculty members, and their mentors who have been their champions in this process. Now, speaking of diversity, MCPS needs more culturally diverse teachers, and they've been speaking a lot about this of late. And I understand that they have about 9,600 para-educators who are very diverse but don't have the teaching credentials to teach in MCPS classrooms. And I'm thrilled to announce that the college has been selected among a wide range of competitors to help these para-educators go to the next level. We're very proud about this opportunity to fill the pipeline of dedicated teachers. Now, some more good news is that our enrollment for winter term is up. This is the 2nd year for the extended winter term, which has more than doubled the enrollment of last year's winter term. Yeah. Regular winter session has just over 1,400 students this year, which is up from last year. So we know that this is, the word is getting out about these opportunities. And thank you all to the faculty who worked through the holiday to teach those students and to create those opportunities. These are great examples of how we are providing students more flexible enrollment options. There are often students who need more flexibility, who aren't able to graduate in a given semester because they need just one more class. For these students, these pathways make a real difference for them. Being efficient also matters. I'm very pleased that we're maximizing our seat capacity, as you can see here. Last spring, we reached an 85% seat capacity in our courses here. And as it turns out, we need this efficiency as we move forward now more than ever. Over the break, our county executive, Isaiah Leggett, announced that the county is facing a $120 million operating budget shortfall due to lower than expected tax revenue. He has proposed to the county council that Montgomery College cut its FY18 budget, that's this year's budget, by $5 million, and that MCPS cut its budget in this year by $25 million. That is in addition to other agencies having to do the same thing. His approach is to reduce funding for each department by about 2% to address the shortfall. The good news is that the college has been budgeting strategically to make us more flexible in the face of these fiscal challenges that arise, like this one. We don't know how this will be resolved, and at the end of the day, we don't know what the implications will be for our FY19 budget. But the long-term goal is to minimize impacts like these at the college so that we can continue the core work of teaching and learning. Now, speaking of teaching, 24 faculty members have been awarded scholarships of excellence through the new program for transforming student success. These faculty members are being given some time away from teaching this year to enhance their pedagogy. They are being paired with other exceptional faculty members already at the college and will be sharing what they learned afterwards. So this benefit and this initiative should benefit us all in the future. This type of program really speaks to the core of our mission. What happens in the classroom? Now, I've said this before, and I think it's worth repeating. There are many professions that require discipline and expertise, but teaching, I believe, is a unique one. It goes far beyond this. Teaching depends on discipline and expertise, but it also requires creativity. It requires passion. It requires a commitment from our faculty that they meet their students where they are, wherever that may be. And I know that we can be in many different places because our students come to us with very complex lives, as you heard Ricky describe earlier. Every teacher knows that students learn best in classes where there is both inspiration and momentum. Creating classrooms like this takes extraordinary energy on behalf of our faculty. Learning in a classroom like this can be magical. It can change a life or shape a professional pathway. And I'm pretty sure that each of our faculty members has had one of these transformative experiences, or they wouldn't have gone into teaching. So I want to start off 2018 just reminding us all that the essence of higher education is teaching and learning. Now, I know we spend a lot of time at the college talking about processes, the how and the when of when students are getting into the classroom, and these are critically important. But let's not lose sight of why we put so much thought into things like scheduling and financial aid and advising. It's so that students can make it into the classroom and have those transformative experiences that occur each and every day at Montgomery College. That is what we're about. And I've been thinking about this core mission of ours over the break. In January every year, I tend to do a lot of reflection and thought processes and really do a lot of internal assessment. I try to gauge how well things are progressing at the college, and I've done this every year that I've been here so far. And this year, I came away with a distinct feeling that the college is hitting its stride in certain areas. We've been working extremely hard over the last years to improve programs and to launch some key initiatives. In many areas, we are entering a period where things are no longer new. ACEs, for example, the Student Success Scorecard, these are all standard parts of our structure now at the college. We're using data analytics, another example, as a routine part of our operations. So the college is steadily moving toward this arc of sustaining. We've invested in some very thoughtful, strategic approaches, and the wheels are in motion as much as they can be. This is not to say that the work is over, but there is a certain type of work in creating, which takes a special type of energy, and it's moving toward collaborating. Let me say a word about this term for a moment, if you don't mind. One of the challenges of a large organization like ours is working with folks who are pretty far outside of our daily routines. We collaborate easily with people we can see from our offices, right? The ones that we see in every meeting that we go to, the one who is right across the hallway from us. But I'm talking about collaborating with people that we have to make appointments to see, or people that we might have to introduce ourselves to, or we might even have to figure out how these people's jobs are in order to partner with them. That's a different kind of effort than creating an initiative from the ground up. But there are some rewards that come with it, and I'll get to that in a moment. First, I want to mention a phenomenon in organizations called change fatigue. Sound familiar? Yeah. It's when an organization like ours has been making many changes in multiple areas over a number of years that people experience a weariness from constant adaptation. It's called change fatigue. I was reflecting on this over the break as it occurred to me that we might need to get some perspective on how far we've come as an organization. So today I want to talk about 4 areas of the college where I see substantial progress on the part of the college. Each area is improving some part of the student experience and moving our students toward success. You have heard all of these terms before, but I want to focus on how they all fit together and work together at the college. I think one of the antidotes to silos is to seeing the whole picture, and we don't often have that luxury. So I'd like us to take a look at the big picture for a moment, and I would like you to look at where your own work falls in this one, or more of these areas as we talk. And before I get started, I really want to thank Scott Youngblood and Megan Givens for taking the time to take this idea that was kind of esoteric in my head and make perfectly good sense and translate it into a couple of visuals that I think will hopefully resonate with you. The areas that I mentioned are Start Smart, Guided Pathways, Comprehensive Advising, and Scheduling for Success. Start Smart is about clarifying the path for students. It is laying out what they need to get enrolled and preparing them for what to expect at the college. Getting the right information about registration, finances, and academic plans can make or break a student's experience at Montgomery College. The college's Start Smart initiatives have put better tools in better places to catch students who may slip between the cracks. The Smart Start programs that we have here shore up our students' vulnerabilities to make completion a few years down the road a reality for those students. Now, you may recall the book Redesigning America's Community Colleges by Bailey, Jaggers, and Jenkins. When I first read it 3 years ago, I thought, Montgomery College has about 9 of the 10 problematic issues identified in the book. Now I would say we have about 3 of the 10, and that's a part of our growth as an organization. These are extraordinary processes and progress that we've made as a college, and we have already accomplished so much together. Redesigning our websites, for example, has helped recruit more students and making it easier by helping students see why Montgomery College is a great choice. The redesign is also mobile-friendly, which is essential these days. We're also producing better information about degrees and programs and how students can line up the finances they need in order to enroll at Montgomery College. We've put orientation programs online so that more students can access them. Improvements to testing preparation have been made so that students are more aware of how important their performance on assessment tests are. A video has been produced to explain the process, and an alternative placement pilot has been run and has shown that sometimes grades and test scores can tell us more than just assessment scores alone. Advising has been strengthened by giving students more targeted information about academic programs after the 12 credit mark. And advisors are also following student progress on completion of milestones more closely. They're making sure they hit benchmarks that the scorecard has helped us to identify in good time. And finally, so that no student is turned away from Montgomery College because they have a difficult interaction, the college is beginning to quantify customer service and planning to collect this data from all units. If we can identify any areas for improvement, we'll do it. If you look at all of these initiatives together, you would realize how tightly they weave together to help students start out with the right information, the right guidance, and the right resources. With the paths to testing, financial aid, and advising clearer than ever, students are already starting smarter. So once students are in the door, how do they find their way? Guided pathways. Guided pathways are about getting students to the path that is right for them. The term guided pathways, to be honest, is one of those terms that's almost overused right now in higher education, but you see this tremendous use of this word in studies about community college success. That's because it's so important to the work that we do. First-generation students, how many of you in the room are first-generation college students? Yeah. We reflect our students in many ways that way. They almost universally struggle with charting their progress through higher education. So guidance is critical. Guided pathways are roadmaps for certain degrees and training programs. But it means more than that at Montgomery College. It means that we also have built supports where students need them, where they may step off the path. It might be financial issues, academic struggles, or difficulty deciding how to make decisions about their next steps at Montgomery College. Our counseling faculty will tell you that some students need help understanding their choices and seeing how their skills might play into one particular academic path. Other students need more options. They need someone to tell them about night and evening classes and online pathways. Others are already on an educational path but stumble repeatedly. Maybe it's the transfer process. Maybe it's career mapping. The shared element in all of these pathways is guidance. All of our students need help understanding what options are available to them and how to access them at Montgomery College. Faculty and staff have done an extraordinary job mapping this out, meeting students where they are, and leading them to resources. These accomplishments at the college can be tough to see in the wider scope of things because we're so focused oftentimes on our specialized jobs that we do so well. But I want to show you how to think about how these pieces of our guided pathways already fit together. Our revision of the general studies curriculum was a terrific start. It introduced 4 core areas which help students narrow their focus so they might begin to envision an academic program early on. The creation of academic plans with students has become more rigorously done in order to help students envision their goals more clearly. Program advising guides and program advisors are available in our top 16 highly enrolled programs. Instructional faculty and counseling faculty are working together more now than ever intentionally than to show students all of the pathways open to them. The college now has more online options than ever, with 4 degrees available entirely online. And as I mentioned earlier, we've made our advising more specialized. With academic program advisors lending their disciplinary expertise, students are getting more targeted guidance as they progress through the organization. Improved advising technology is making its way into our pathways as well. We're selecting software right now to help the range of faculty and students in need of advising services. Some of the guided pathways work takes place when students are already on their path. This year, we began providing embedded support in classrooms with high DFW rates. Students in developmental education are getting guidance and carving out their own pathways as well. Developmental English was redesigned, and reading and writing have been combined after national best practices. Developmental math faculty have been working on an extensive redesign of developmental math courses, which is under review in our curriculum process. By tightening our industry partnerships, the college is guiding students onto existing pathways to the workforce. A data science certificate was approved last year, for example, in response to demand by our local employers. The college's programs are constantly evolving to keep pace with industry needs. The job market is a force that guides students' pathways as well, so we have been responsive to that through our course offerings and content. We've created many new pathways for our non-credit students, many of which George mentioned this morning, some of whom then move on to credit-bearing courses as well. The college has also created pathways for dually enrolled students and students looking for technical and professional skills at mid-career. All of these initiatives allow the college to serve a broader base of students who need us now more than ever. As we all know, most students need financial assistance, so keeping students on guided pathways means increased financial support. The Montgomery College Foundation has boosted the number of applications for support by 75% in 1 year, making some changes to the application process. The foundation has also started contacting students who have begun the application process but gotten stalled. They just stopped. In 1 year, they decreased the number of unfinished applications by making these contacts by 56%. Yeah, that deserves applause, I think. The foundation has also stepped up the portion of funding that students rely on. Over 4 years, the foundation's scholarships have increased from 52% of all scholarship funds to 62%. And stackable credentials are another way we're creating guided pathways that students can fit into their schedules and increase their earning potential. Ensuring that all of our academic programs are rigorous is a process we've been working on here for years. We've undertaken it thoroughly, in fact, and our middle state evaluators have been pleased with the progress that we've made. That's why we have been so focused on program review, making sure that all of our programs serve transfer requirements that satisfy the College and Career Readiness and Completion Act, or as we lovingly call CCR, CCA, is essential. Ultimately, high education programs give our students the skills they need to be successful in their career pathways. Just recently, our partner, Holy Cross Health, gave the college a grant to establish career pathways in healthcare. It's probably no coincidence that the college has risen to the top of the employment ladder for Holy Cross Health. More of our students are employed by Holy Cross Health than any other higher educational institution in the region. Comprehensive advising. The college is doing a terrific job in working and guiding students onto right pathways. But truly, comprehensive advising is bigger. In a way, it's an art because it relies on understanding human development. But it is also a science that relies on comparative metrics and predictive analytics. The college's advising processes have grown quantitatively over the last few years and are serving students more efficiently and productively than ever. Advising keeps a student on a pathway. In fact, advising actually starts before a student even enrolls at Montgomery College. Helping students get credit for prior learning helps move them along faster and more efficiently. It also encourages mid-career development and lower costs to completions. Our online catalog is now being used for advising. It allows students and advisors to work together on comparing academic pathways for students. And as I mentioned earlier, academic advising plays a role in just about every segment of the student success vision. Academic advising process at the college is designed to be both intrusive and holistic. It has to assess accurately where students are developmentally, and it has to help students on their own to help them guide them toward goal setting. Then it has to convey how academic choices connect to careers. This is no small feat for anyone to accomplish. Our transfer students are being served better than ever through planning, and our articulation agreements are multiplying by the day. I can barely keep up with them. I used to try to tweet them out when I signed them. It's too much now. Our engagement with the Montgomery County Public Schools is rising as well as we prepare students much younger to think about their college plans. And at the other end of the spectrum, our career planning services are moving students to the right place in the job market sooner. The college is continuing to search out the best advising technology to track student milestones and alert advisors to roadblocks in advance. Finally, comprehensive advising has to address some stark student realities like food and housing insecurity. We've been responding to these at the college through our mobile markets and with the foundation funding for scholarships and for our emergency student funding. Our OER initiatives are helping students lighten the cost of textbooks, and these are all parts of comprehensive advising. Advising is already serving more students more effectively, and that is a credit to everyone who is doing the work. Now, scheduling can seem like a simple concept. Put the classes on the master calendar so they don't conflict, assign faculty, and you're done. But scheduling for success is more ambitious. I heard several of the deans go, ugh. In fact, it is one of the most meaningful student-centered processes we are currently undertaking at the college. Offering classes at the most in-demand times in different locations helps our students progress faster. It also reduces class cancellations since we're targeting those windows that the data shows us are at peak times and demand for our students. Maximizing our seat capacity also allows us to offer more classes at times when students want them. And by analyzing which classes are needed by how many students and when, we can improve student completion at the college. We can create schedules that serve their needs. Some students work in the afternoon, so they can only take morning classes. That's block scheduling. Some programs want to keep their students all in the same classes for continuity. That's cohort scheduling. Certain majors have academic requirements that don't allow for much student choice, so they have to be scheduled in advance. That's pathway scheduling. And I mentioned how popular our winter term enrollment was this year, and that's a good example of accelerated scheduling. All of these move us closer to long-term scheduling, 2 and 3 years at a time. This benefits students from a financial planning perspective and creates more predictability for the faculty. Some may want to plan a research program or pick up a class at another institution. We're currently assessing software tools that can accomplish these different approaches to scheduling. We'll be working in the next year to decide on software that best meets the needs and demands of our students. Scheduling for success is the pinnacle of a great idea of analytic and technical work. Ultimately, it would allow students to look at several possible scheduling alternatives to meet their other responsibilities. We talk a lot about making our work student-centered, and this is a great example of what that looks like practically. By using predictive analytics, we can maximize the classes we run at peak demand times and guarantee students the classes they need in the future to complete their degree or course of study. Ideally, when a student comes to college with the right comprehensive advising, they can get a course plan for 2 years with guaranteed classes. They would know when their classes will meet and how many semesters it will take to complete. They would spend less time and money on their degrees and move successfully to their next step. Now, a lot of time and energy goes into creating the architecture that allows students to have these transformative moments in the classroom. These moments are what all of this work builds toward. The work that has been done at the college over the last 8 years has put many best practices in place in advising and financial aid, curriculum review, and certainly in transfer. We've been putting all of the right structures in place piece by piece. All the while, the hard work of teaching and learning has continued and prospered at the organization. We can see how these initiatives are beginning to weave themselves together to support students more consistently over the course of their journeys here at Montgomery College. Many of our outcomes are proving that. If you look at the middle of the circle, completion of associate degrees and credentials, transfer rates, and even 4-year degree completion are goals toward which we have been working all along. We are already seeing some of these results come to fruition, and that's because our work has positioned us better than ever to help our students achieve those goals. In this next phase of the college's development, I see collaboration across units as a powerful dynamic. We have put most of the right supports in place. We've tweaked them and redefined them and scaled up the best ones. And now we have to keep working together. Now, I've spoken a lot about this morning, about our faculty and the work that they do, but I'd be remiss if I also didn't call out our staff. They have been and continue to be essential to this growth. Some of the partnerships that have made all of this change have been ones between faculty and staff. Faculty have the expertise about content in the discipline, and oftentimes our staff have the technical expertise to help maximize their impact with the students. Our success with our OERs is a great example this year. 3,400 students took spring classes with no textbook costs. No single division could have done that. So collaboration is real, and it can be satisfying when a team ends up with a result that they couldn't have expected or accomplished in silos. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's where the college has been moving over the last several years. And I want to acknowledge that there may be a little bit of change fatigue out there. I have to admit I have it as well, and I feel it. But I also think that we're moving to a new phase as an organization, and this next phase is very satisfying. It is when we can see the sum of these parts coming together. The whole is always greater than the sum of these parts, and we know that. So I'm looking forward to those glimpses of the whole that I know are coming. We've already seen examples of this. It's the 460 students graduating in December and more than 2,700 in the spring of 2017. It's our 3-year graduation rate going from 14% to almost 18%. It's our transfer rate that's gone up from 37% to 43%. It's our own students hosting 3 DACA panels entirely on their own last semester and then marching to the Capitol. It's our team of computer science and engineering students winning the NASA Swarmathon competition. It's a group of NC gaming students winning first place in the nation in an Arctic climate game design competition. It's the 22 honor students being selected to present at the Beacon Honors Conference. It's the 32 inmates at the Montgomery County Correctional Facility earning their GED or high school diplomas through Montgomery College this year. This is radical inclusion and achievement at its best. Now, for those of you who have been in the classroom for years or even decades, you know that teaching is what raises students up so that they have the confidence and the ability to accomplish these feats. That's transformative. All of the work we touched upon today gives students the chance to experience those moments and hopefully multiply the number of students who have those transformative learning experiences. It increases the number of them who walk across the graduation stage or leave the college on a new pathway. That means that we are living our mission as a college. Now, I have one additional announcement that concerns my schedule for the summer and fall. Many of you who've been here will recall that former presidents Dr. Charlene Nunley and Dr. Bob Perilla took some time away from the college for different priorities to rejuvenate, to study, to experience and look at the college from different perspectives. And I am going to be doing the same thing. The Board of Trustees has encouraged me to do this and to do some planning and some writing, which I'm actually quite excited about, and careful thinking about the college's next movement. As I mentioned just a few minutes ago, I feel the college has reached a new level in its development, so it's a good time for me to take some work that requires a bit more depth and concentration and to do that time away. Beginning on July 1st through December 31st, 2018, I will be going on sabbatical. I'm excited. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited. During that time, Dr. Stephen Kane will be the acting president, and the activity of the college and my office will continue full steam ahead. I have every confidence in Dr. Kane, who has been my chief of staff and chief strategy officer for 7 years, and will take over my responsibilities while I am on leave. For those of you who remember Dr. Perilla's sabbaticals, he told me he actually took 2 of those during his 20 years as president. I will not be going up to a mountain. He told me I should get away, but I said I'm not going up to a mountain. But I will be disconnecting from the college and working really hard at focusing on me and reading and studying and rejuvenating. And if I do it really well, hopefully coming back with some things that have been written and some practical plans about how to advance some initiatives. As you know, our strategic plan is coming to an end shortly. We'll have our Middle States accreditation visit this spring, so there's a ripe opportunity to explore several issues. That being said, I will be returning to the college. If any of you are interested in giving me feedback about things I should do while I'm on leave, I readily accept them, but I know that I will be back and looking forward to regrouping and returning to the college in January of 2019. So I thank Dr. Kane for accepting the board's invitation to serve in this capacity, and I know that each and every one of you will be supportive and work with him over the fall semester. We still got a spring semester to get through some things, but I'm looking forward to the opportunity, and thank you, Steve, for making that opportunity available to me. So I got through that with my voice only cracking a couple times. And I have the pleasure of turning the stage over now to introduce Sharon Bland, who many of you have already met. I don't know about y'all, but she is like the happiest person I've ever met. She's like high energy all the time. There's a few of us who are trying to figure out how to bottle that up and to do something with it. She is our Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer as of May, and probably has visited more offices at the college than many of us have seen in our multiple years here at the college. I'd like to welcome Sharon to the stage as she talks about her work as the Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer here at Montgomery College. Please welcome me. Welcome, Sharon. Oh, you're there. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited because I have, as Dr. Pollard has said, I have had the chance to meet with many, many of you all individually and in group settings, actually over 400 people on my listening tour, and then I've had an opportunity to meet with many, many students in my Pizza for Your Thoughts sessions. So I'm excited to continue that work. So what have we done since I've been here? Well, we established this office, as you know. We've also established the President's Advisory Committee on Equity and Inclusion. Are any members of the advisory committee here? Would you please stand up if you are? Let me just give a shout out. Thank you all so much. And where's our illustrious chairperson, Dr. Deborah Bright? Hi there, thank you so much. Wow, this committee has been so awesome. So over 100 people applied to be on this committee, and of course we couldn't take 100. So in scaling back, I was trying to figure out, well, how do we keep all of the people that are really interested in this work on this committee? And Dr. Payne and I sat in a room, and we talked about dividing it into subcommittees. And so we ended up with 50 people on this committee. And you'll hear a little bit more about how we're breaking this work up in just a second. So what is this committee supposed to do? Well, develop an equity and inclusion master plan and developing an action plan for responding and implementing recommendations from the Equity and Inclusion Survey. So in terms of the recommendations, those recommendations are so important for moving this work forward. That we actually decided that we had a 2-year time frame. We decided that we were going to provide some short-term recommendations by the end of this semester, and then we will be following that up with final recommendations. But there are some things that we wanted to be responsive to immediately that came out of the survey that we did. So the plan will be an integral part of every academic discipline, administrative unit, and partnerships. And its themes will become commonplace in our practice and our policies throughout the college. So what are our tasks? Well, it includes reviewing the survey results and feedback, and evaluating current data and institutional information, and then, of course, proposing these recommendations. I am expecting it to be a living document, that it's iterative, that it's informed by discoveries made through these listening tours that I mentioned with staff, faculty, administrators, union leaders, our student groups, governance councils, discussions with peer institutions, and our best practice research. You get a chance in just a second to hear a presentation from the Pizza for Your Thoughts sessions. I had the opportunity to receive over 640 comments from students during these sessions. These sessions were held at lunchtime and at dinner time, on all 3 campuses. And we're going to hear from some student actors that are reading these comments now.
Montgomery College is a great place for low-income students who want to further their education but are limited by financial troubles, but have the necessary drive and academic abilities.
The Germantown campus of Montgomery College is a peaceful, fair place. This semester will be my 6th semester, and I've never encountered any treatment or attitude I would consider unfair. On a scale of 1 to 10, I will rate Montgomery College Germantown 10.
MC is very inclusive because it's a space where any person can share with different people from different countries and cultures.
There should be a greater emphasis on transferring out of a 2-year college to a 4-year. If counselors were better informed, that would help all students at MC. Too many young people do not know their options. This treatment does not support the members of our community who do not receive the transfer information from home.
Montgomery College is a diverse institution, and I love how it is diverse. However, I don't like how some counselors conduct themselves with students. They do not care about students.
Open up the gym again for students and maybe a wellness program for staff and students.
Have cheaper food prices. I'm already paying to learn.
Certain teachers should be more focused and direct with their work. They can be very misleading about course assignments sometimes.
Handicapped students seem to face challenges getting around. The school could use more places for students to go between classes other than the cafeteria.
Every professor at MC treats their students fairly. However, some grade unfairly. For example, a professor misses 4 or 5 classes but is willing to fail 50% of the students on a test they have little to no help to prepare for.
The MC shuttle has become a very helpful tool at MC. I think I speak for all shuttle departing students when I say that they need to run more of them.
Despite having 3 campuses, they do a great job with their shuttle service, and the ride-on is a definite lifesaver.
MC is very accessible and flexible when it comes to different class schedules. It's great when you can make time for school and then do other things that you do in your everyday life.
MC has shown an overall interest in the education for all students. However, I don't think it's a good idea when professors have favorite students and show greater interest in the well-being of them instead of not showing bias.
My professors have been extremely inclusive of all students. MC has been doing a good job lately by hosting events that celebrate diversity.
The campus can be a little more active with students, providing more information about events, and can really make a difference.
Where's the fun at? Well, due to the fact that Montgomery College doesn't really have a lot of students involved in clubs, there should be some events like a fall dance or a winter dance for everyone to attend and just keep the entertainment going, because MC doesn't really have any fun celebrations.
Can we talk about how there was no Black Student Union Club at the club fair? How are Black students really being represented here?
The environment at MC is extremely friendly. I have never met such a kind and helpful community. The staff here treat you like you're important, and they also do their best to help. The professors are also very encouraging and lenient. They treat you like a friend rather than just a student.
MC has made my college experience perfect from beginning to end. From good professors to fun events, MC has done a great job of taking care of students. What I would recommend is better notifications as far as emergencies.
The summer session refund policy is crazy.
There is a high degree of equality in the school. The experience of all 3 campuses have not felt different in any of them. All cultures are properly respected.
The professors are very enthusiastic about their profession, but some only teach a certain way. It would be helpful if they had to use different methods of teaching throughout the semester.
Different students have various learning abilities. To help them succeed, the evaluations that are filled out by students at the end of the semester need to be made available for them to view prior to signing up for the class.
Ink is expensive. We should get a couple of free printings per semester. Students can provide ID to keep track of how many they have used.
Why don't teachers inform you about the next move for the next semester?
So there you have it. Give it up for our student actors. Some are in the building today. So while all of these comments came in to me via index cards, Post-its, and some text messages and emails, the student actors really shared what some of those comments really reflected. So our master plan recommendations, these recommendations will be designed to improve civility, intergroup connections, climate, completion rates, recruitment, retention, procurement, our workforce partnerships, policy, public discourse, and leadership for all Montgomery College students, faculty, staff, administrators, alumni, and external partners. We'll be doing this work, as I mentioned, through subcommittees. The President's Advisory Committee is working through 8 subcommittees currently. The Student Experience and Campus Culture Subcommittee will be examining reported experiences of MC students and employees, such as the Student Voices roundtable that was held in 2016, as well as the Equity Inclusion Survey and focus group results. We are breaking some of these student comments down into more focus group areas because students actually requested to come talk to me more about their thoughts about equity and inclusion. So we have a couple of student focus groups I'm excited about. We'll also be developing recommendations that will foster more equitable and inclusive college culture and enhance student experience. So our Business Practices and Procurement Subcommittee is there to recommend policies and procedures and practices to be more inclusive of underserved businesses, women-owned businesses, small businesses, disability-owned businesses, veteran-owned small businesses, LGBTQ, and diverse businesses of all types. We're also considering MC's responsibility in helping our underserved businesses and economic growth in designated enterprise zones. Our Faculty, Teaching, and Curriculum Committee will be working to establish priorities for the college to offer cutting-edge course content and effective faculty pedagogy, which meets student and staff needs for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're also going to have a Human Resources Committee. As a result of the Equity and Inclusion Survey, there were so many comments regarding the topics that you see here around recruiting, hiring, retention, and succession planning. So we thought it was important to have a subcommittee to address those issues. It's our responsibility to ensure that diversity and inclusion principles are infused throughout the hiring processes at Montgomery College. And then our nationwide best practices and peer institution subcommittee. This subcommittee is also going to be evaluating some of the work that we're currently doing, assessing the recommendations at benchmark times, and looking at resources to fund the recommendations. Our Reports and Communications Subcommittee is designed to take a look at the reporting needs and requirements of not only Middle States, but MHEC and Montgomery County Council's Office of Legislative Oversight. Our Training, Dialogue, and Events and Celebration Subcommittee is designed to create a safe and inclusive college community by deepening and enhancing the level of discussion and training around diversity and inclusion issues. And one of the things that we heard through the Equity and Inclusion Survey was that the multicultural training requirement is somewhat vague, and we need to do a little bit more work in terms of putting some structure and meat and defining that more. And so that's what we'll be doing through this committee. One of the things I wanted to point out is the second bullet in terms of expanding cultural program offerings that reflect our values and creating space for differing viewpoints regarding political ideology. And then our Workforce Development and Community Engagement subcommittee is the 8th subcommittee. And it really will be looking at how we continue these deliberate dialogues. Dr. Pollard, as many of you know, started a dialogue series last year, and this committee is seeking to address those head on and get in front of some of the topics of the day. Also serving as a think tank and resource for community in response to current trends and help work to resolve issues. Also, in terms of marketing the college, I think you heard George Payne talk a little bit about how we were utilizing CPOD and training, et cetera, and this committee will be looking to help with that. Some additional initiatives that we'll be looking at through the equity and inclusion lens include a thorough examination of the honorary degree recipient selection process to the cultivation of a more diverse board of trustees. So at the end of all of this work, in a couple of years, we will have a final master plan for equity and inclusion. You will also hear the specific recommendations and key findings from the Equity and Inclusion Survey in this afternoon session. I'm really excited to share that with you. We had about almost 30% response rate, and I'm going to walk you through some of the recommendations that the president has decided to move forward on immediately, and also some things that were interesting in that survey. So our successful performance is predicated on the effectiveness with respect to cultural competency and where social justice prevails of employees at every level of the institution. And our goal is to uphold a culture that values civil discourse, safe environment for sharing, and one that observes, measures, and rewards success so that we can create an extraordinary educational institution. Thank you so much for listening to me today. I'd like to introduce Ms. Norma Winfield and join me in welcoming our faculty panelist. And she's the panel moderator for this session. Thank you.
Good morning. You are probably wondering, how did they manage to get her up there? I am wondering myself as well. As a recruiter, I do tons of presentations. It's not the people I'm afraid of, it's the cameras I don't enjoy. But nonetheless, I am here. Suffice it to say that Tacy and Dr. Pollard had something to do with it. So let's make it count. This morning, I have had the distinct pleasure of moderating a panel on social justice and on innovation. As you know, the increasing cultural linguistics, developmental, and other types of diversity of school communities, along with the ambition to achieve high academic standards for everyone, raises important questions about how faculty can support the participation and the achievement of all our students, as well as how the college can provide support for our faculty and students, given the realities facing community colleges today. Our panel members this morning represent some of the extraordinary efforts being made by many members of our faculty who are committed to supporting the participation and achievement of all of our students. Please help me welcome Professor Shinta Hernandez, Professor Emily Rosado, and Professor Vedem Karpakap Kunjara. I'm impressed too. Okay, I understand we're going to be doing this view style, so I will join them on the table here. Okay. And I'm going to ask first that each professor introduce themselves briefly. Tell us what you do. And here we go. You're all set? Tell us how long you've been at the college. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I am Shinta Hernandez. I have been at the college this week actually marks my 11th year as a college employee. I am Associate Professor of Sociology and the Interim Department Chair of Sociology, Anthropology, and Criminal Justice at the Rockville and Takoma Park Silver Spring campuses.
Hi guys, I'm Emily Rosado and I'm an English professor at the Rockville campus, and this is my 10th year as a full-time faculty. I started in Germantown campus though, and I was an adjunct there for 3 years.
Good morning. I'm Vedam Karpaka Kunjaram. I've been with Montgomery College for about 8 years, of which 6 years as full-time. I teach biology at Rockville campus.
Thank you. So some of these questions have come from our students and parents during the onboarding process. And I will start with Professor Hernandez. Tell us about your philosophy of teaching and how innovation and social justice fit in it.
Sure. As a macro sociologist, my teaching philosophy is grounded in equity, access, and success. I'm a firm believer that students from all walks of life should have equitable access to higher education. Our teaching must and should be adaptable to the transformative learning environment, the changing student demographic population, and just the variable social circumstances that we are exposed to each and every day. As a faculty member, I have considered very innovative and perhaps revolutionary pedagogies and student success strategies, some of which were already mentioned earlier by Dr. Pollard. I'm a firm believer of embedding support services into the classroom so that students have access to resources and to help. I'm a firm believer of the open educational resources and Z courses and Z degrees to give access to our students from day one. But I also want to talk about something that is more current in my role, which is as interim department chair, I strongly encourage and support faculty who wish to implement innovative strategies in their teaching. And one example that I think some of you or many of you probably have heard of it already, and if you have a Twitter account, you definitely may have heard of this. And if you don't, take a look at it. It's the #LoveYou challenge that has gone viral in such a short period of time. And this came to my table when one of my part-time sociology instructors came to me, Dr. Leslie Gudelsky, who said, I want to talk about love in his Introduction to Sociology classroom, and I thought, okay, well, this can go in a lot of different directions. And so I was a little nervous, but nonetheless, I listened to him and heard him out and helped him through the process. And almost instantly, this is a good example of just someone who wanted to use something so basic and so inexpensive in teaching about sociology. And just to give you an idea of how viral this has gone, MCTV did a production on it, NBC4 did a coverage on it. It's going to go to Voice of America if it hasn't already gone there. There's some conversation about this project going to the Black Rock Center for the Arts in Germantown. The World Bank and the United Nations are supporting this, and there's also conversation about this project going to the Ellen DeGeneres show. Yeah. So yeah, and so I want to commend, yes, I want to commend Dr. Lezik-Cybulski. I don't know if you're here, if you're watching, but congratulations on your overnight success and congratulations to your students.
Professor Rosado, the same question. Tell us about your philosophy in teaching and how innovation and social justice fit into it.
Sure. I would say that I also believe strongly in access for all students, and that has driven some of the projects that I've worked on throughout my time at the college, including teaching online and using open educational resources. I think the three of us all do that. But really, my goal is to challenge my students to stretch their thinking, and incorporating issues focusing on social justice is a really great way that I've found to do that. Exposing them to issues that they perhaps may have never thought about really opens their eyes to some of the things that are going on around us. And I feel that they are really receptive to learning about different issues. And just to give you an example, I like to show a lot of documentaries in my class because everyone likes watching movies. But I show a documentary called The True Cost. And it's a really great film that explores some of the devastating human and environmental costs of the fashion industry, and it really opens students' eyes to how our need for cheap and trendy clothing has really led to some devastating consequences for the people who work in those industries. And I've had a student approach me at the end of the semester last semester, and she said that she never really thought about, when she went shopping and was looking at a shirt or something and like, oh yeah, it's $5, let me get it. She never really thought about, the person who made that and the conditions that they were working in, and maybe the diseases that they have contracted from the chemicals that, they've had to breathe in those factories. So I think that, just kind of challenging them to think outside of kind of their realm or their little bubble here in Montgomery County has been really beneficial and rewarding for me as well as a faculty to kind of see how their thinking changes over the course of the semester.
Professor Karpakamdaram, would you like to share on that?
Sure. So I acknowledge that, especially in our college, students come with diverse backgrounds and at all levels. The diversity spans across all levels. I particularly address the diversity in learning styles, and so it's I realize with each semester how important it is to move away from a traditional lecture-based delivery of content and try to embrace all the different learning styles that students come with so that we help them to succeed in the courses they are in. Being in science, I also use the scientific concepts to address social justice. And the more recent incidents like Charlottesville made me think about how to address, for example, human skin color from a scientific background, and how to address it from genetics point of view, from evolution point of view, and make students understand the myth behind the skin color.
We might have you in your class next semester. All right, let's start now with Professor Rosado. What factors drive you to push boundaries in implementing innovative ideas?
I feel like I'm willing to try anything that will benefit the students. So I think that started back in my early days, about 13 years ago, when we were just getting our online English classes off the ground. and that's been really rewarding to give access to those students who, due to scheduling conflicts or maybe transportation issues, may not have had a chance to come to campus to take classes. Also, the three of us have done a lot of work in OER, and as Dr. Pollard had mentioned, we are offering Z courses now that are available to the student without textbook costs. So I'm excited that all 4 of my classes are now Z courses. One of my students last semester told me that she actually gave part of her financial aid check to one of her friends because her friend couldn't afford her textbooks. So, these are the things that our students are facing and struggling with. So I think it's been really important. My students really appreciate the fact that I've made the effort to switch over to Z courses and still have robust materials, but to give them access to materials that don't cost anything. Also, this semester, I'm excited to have embedded coaches in my class for the first time through the Achieving the Promise Academy. So hopefully that will go well. I'm really excited about it and to work with some of my colleagues over there. And I think that it's important to be open to change and to I feel that teaching well is a lot of trial and error and trying out different things. And I think that not being afraid to fail and to have something not work is important, because I think that's how we discover, some of the best strategies is by just trying different things out.
Excellent. Professor K, what conditions do you try to create and maintain inside and outside of the classroom to help all students thrive? And how do you create these conditions? You gave us a real nice example just recently, but if you'd like to expand on that.
Sure. Just to give you an overview of how I structure my course, right on the first day of the semester, I start with an icebreaker activity where I give a chance for students to know each other, but most importantly, from a selfish point of view, I like to know as much as I can about my students starting from the day one, and it should work both ways. So I also participate as part of the activity with the students, and I try to give as much information about myself. One thing I add to that is add questions few questions which will start making me think about how I address different students' needs. For example, I ask them about their career goals. In an introductory class, you will get a student population with many different goals for their careers, and so how to address that based on meeting the learning outcomes or the course outcomes, and at the same time also helping them succeed. And I don't just stop with that, I try to expand on that, keep the activities going as frequently as possible. So even though at the beginning I get to see some students frowning because they're asked to talk to each other in the class or talk to me, and it kind of, some students feel strange the way I handle this. But I realize that most of them get used to that because I kind of make it an expectation from my side for them to be engaged in the classroom more often, more naturally than kind of being imposed on them in more artificial ways.
I know this to be true. It's just dawned on me. You are Professor K. I've had a student come to my office and talk about that experience. My daughter attends the college, and I remember seeing her midway through the semester, and she was excited about going to your class. Now, she didn't say carpa con carne like I can say it. But I do recall her saying, and I remember asking her, I didn't think you liked biology. She said, yeah, but this professor's cool. He makes me want to be in this class, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Professor Shinta Hernandez. In my role as a recruiter, I visit a lot of students, and we met one of those students today, Ricky Campos, and he shared his experience through DACA, TPS, and as a dreamer. How do you anticipate addressing the effects on our students and helping to ensure that our college is truly a welcoming, equitable, and inclusive place where students feel safe?
I'm a big proponent of institutions such as Montgomery College working collaboratively. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for us to engage in a concerted effort for all the different units and areas and divisions to be able to assist students who are going to be impacted by these program changes. Something as simple as all players of this institution knowing what the resources and services are that we provide at the college, to helping our students get to those resources, knowing who to call, where to go on the internet, that sort of thing. If we can direct them to the appropriate places like the welcome centers, disability support services, the counseling and advising, and all the tons of services and resources that we offer here at the college, I think that is an excellent way for, say, student affairs and academic affairs to work together so that the impact of these programs and the changes will be minimized as much as possible. I think we have a responsibility as members of this public institution, but also as members of this community, to ensure that all of our students have a place that they can call home.
Mm-hmm. Professor Rosado, I would anticipate that most of what you do is similar. Is there anything else you'd like to share on how you work with DACA, TPS, and Dreamer students?
Well, I've had students express concern and also confusion over, what's happening. It's really hard for them to understand, why, and what's the reasoning and, behind, making changes to this program. But I just find it really important to let them know that I am their ally as their instructor, and that Montgomery College is also their ally. And again, like Shinta said, just directing them to our counselors and to our resources. And also, I am trained in mental health first aid, and that has come in really handy, and I recommend that training for anyone. Sometimes we have students that find themselves in a state of crisis, and being able to help them and know, the first steps to kind of like helping them to regroup and to find a balance, and so they can get help, I think is really important. So that's just one of the things in my toolbox.
Great. Professor K, would you like to elaborate on your work with Dreamers, DACA, and TPS recipients?
I make frequent announcements, and I clearly tell them I'm not an expert. I can't directly help them in this, but I direct them to the resources we have in the college where they can seek help.
Fantastic. Now, how have you gotten outside of your comfort zone, Professor Hernandez, when it comes to your work as a faculty member, and where would you like to grow this year?
So as I stated in my introduction, I've been here 11 years, but it really wasn't until about 4 years ago that I had the courage to step out of my comfort zone. And when I did that, it was when I started to engage in conversations and consequently do some work outside of my discipline and outside of my department. I said earlier that I'm a big proponent of holistic approaches to student success and collaborative approaches to student success. I think it's important for me, particularly, but all of us, to remember that each one of us is a piece of a much larger puzzle, that each one of us is a cog of a much larger machine. Where I would like to grow this year, as interim department chair, I want to continue supporting my faculty and staff in implementing innovative ways to their teaching strategies. I think it's important for all of us to make sure that our students know how to be agents of change. If we empower the learner in this whole process, if we use non-conventional methods and give them the tools necessary for them to improve their communities using or through their academic studies, then I think we will have done justice to higher education in the 21st century.
All right. Professor K, how have you gone outside of your comfort zone, and how would you like to grow this year?
Sure. As often as possible, I try to practice saying I don't know. I practice it with my 8-year-old, who gets very disappointed when he hears, how can you not know this? So I tell my students, the hardest thing for a professor to stand in front of 24 students and tell, when a student asks a question, to tell that I don't know the answer is the most difficult thing, most challenging thing, to be outside your comfort zone. But I also tell them, I will try and find the answer. I don't know the answer right now, but I will try and find the answer for you. And I think that kind of convinces them that, okay, he's as human as I am. So kind of helps them to relate with me. And I tell them a lot of personal stories about how sometimes I have failed as a student. And one failure is not something that determines what you are. And I think that kind of helps them to relate with the professor and not just look at me as Mr. Know-all or things. So that's one of the challenging things I had to learn.
So how do you intend to grow this year? You're going to start to say, I know more this year?
More now than what I knew yesterday.
Okay, good. Professor Rosado, how have you gotten outside of your comfort zone and how you intend to grow this year?
Well, I am proud to be working with Dr. Bland for the next couple years on the Committee on Equity and Inclusion, so I'm really excited about that. I'm like one of those students who hates group work. Like, no, I'd rather do it myself. So, leading a committee with colleagues is putting me out of my comfort zone, but I'm really excited about it, looking forward to it. Also, I just got back from a study abroad trip with the Maryland Community College International Education Consortium. And that was really amazing, and I hope to design a program for our students abroad because I really believe in just the invaluable experience in studying in a different culture. Even if it's short term, I think that the students can learn so much from doing that. So hopefully I can manage to make a plan for that this year.
Fantastic. Well, that's all the questions I have for our panelists, so please help me thank them.
Thank you.
And now the nominees for Middle State Self-Study, co-chairs. Please help me welcome Dr. Eric Benjamin, Dr. Melissa Gregory, and Ms. Tammy Peery.
Hi, good morning. Our team is very happy to present, I believe, our final opening meeting self-study update to the college community. Yeah, at least we hope it is. Okay, here we go. Now, if you saw our November newsletter, you probably know a lot of this information, but this past October 16th, Dr. Margaret McMenamin, the president of Union County College in New Jersey, and she's also our evaluation team chair. She visited the college. The theme for her visit was verify, clarify, and amplify. So she was providing us feedback on our self-study draft, and she was assessing how prepared the college is for the visiting team in March. She toured all 3 college campuses, central services. She met with college leadership, various groups of faculty, administrators, staff, and students. The vice presidents and provosts gave her tours of the campuses, and she asked a lot of questions about various things. Sometimes we could answer her questions, and sometimes we had to go look things up. So the size of the campus, how many square feet on this campus, the status of the facilities, she was testing doors, she was testing handicapped access buttons. Professor Peery got to travel with her on every single tour, and she moves very quickly. She asked about the number of students on each campus and the services we provide. We were very pleased that the college appears to be ready for the Middle States visit. Put that on 1, okay. And we did receive very useful constructive criticism on how to make our draft self-study fully tell the college's story. Dr. McMenamin was also impressed with the preparation of our faculty, staff, students, administrators, and the Board of Trustees. And our final self-study document is just about ready for the Board of Trustees to review. Professor Peery. There we go.
Okay, so our next big step for you all, included along with us, is our team visit, which will happen on March 18th through 21st. And in addition to seeing it on the slide, if you flip the back of your program over, you'll see we've also provided a checklist for everyone on the back of your program. So we would appreciate it if you would keep your programs, perhaps even take a few extra back to your department or to your area for people who might be viewing remotely today, so that everyone has a copy of this checklist, because the visit really is about the entire college community. It's not just about small committees, it's not just a small group of people. They really are going to be talking to a lot of people. So how do you want to prepare? So first of all, the visit will be happening on March 18th through 21st. That is right after spring break. So we are looking for everyone to come back ready for action, take your spring break time to contemplate all the fabulous things you do at Montgomery College, all the ways that you live out our mission and vision every day. So the first thing we'll ask you to do is, obviously, we need people to actually read the self-study report. It will be available. We will post it on our website after the board approves it, hopefully, or accepts it on the 24th. And then after that, we will get it up on our website. So it's probably sometime between the 24th and the 26th is when the college community will have access to it. Please don't just read the chapter that you think most applies to you, but actually read the whole thing, because everything is interrelated. So it's really important that people see all the different pieces in different places. So please make sure you go ahead and take a moment to read the self-study. As always, as we do every semester, we will be doing some briefing sessions, largely during the month of February, so probably the last week of January through the first week of March, really, so that, again, we can provide you with an update, a quick summary of what's in the reports, and also talk about how you can prepare more thoroughly for coming to the visit. You should know the mission, vision, and values for the college, not in a pop quiz kind of a way, but really thinking about how does what you do as an individual connect with our mission, vision, and values. So again, they're not expecting everyone on the street to be able to rattle them off, but they do expect you to talk about what resonates for you about our mission, vision, and values. How does what you do every day connect with those mission, vision, and values, no matter what your role at the college is? We want to make sure that everyone knows some statistics about your individual areas. So we got some great statistics this morning on completion rates and transfer rates, and those are important for everyone to know. But also think about, for whatever your area is, what is the data you need to know in order to talk appropriately about it, right? Again, if you're doing developmental English, we've done a lot of developmental redesign, as they were just talking about. We should probably know what the statistics for developmental redesign have been. How have students' lives changed? How many students visit the Writing Center? How many students visit the library? What are they doing in those different areas? So think about what statistics are important for your area, and think about them and be prepared to share them as part of the visit. Again, we'd like you to place a hold on your calendars. For March 18th to 21st, we are not going to send a college-wide invitation to clog up your calendars, but please do keep those dates in mind. That when the visiting team comes, it's a team of about 10 people who will go to all of the different campuses. They will come to the CT building. They will be visiting our middle college. So they will go throughout the college, and they will talk to anybody and everybody. Sometimes we'll know groups ahead of time. So again, if you know that the work you've done is mentioned in the self-study, you should probably expect that you might be visiting with the visiting team. But they will also have rooms set up so that anybody can come and talk to them. So truly, anybody across the college can come and participate in the Middle States visiting team visit, and we want to hear what you have to say. So please make sure that you're thinking about it. Please keep your calendar open on those days.
So again, to sum this up, on January 24th, the steering committee will be submitting the final version of the self-study to the Board of Trustees for their acceptance at their regularly scheduled meeting. 2 days later, Dr. Pollard will be submitting the self-study to the Middle States Commission for their review in preparation for the site visit, which will begin on March 18th. Right after that, for the next 6 weeks, we will be preparing college-wide our final preparations to get ready for the site visit, which will be March 18th through 21st. The visiting committee will give us their final report. Then they are free to go. They'll be going to all campuses. They'll be free to walk up and ask people questions. After they give us their final report, they will issue their final action in June of 2018. Also, we will be making presentations over the month of February to a number of governance groups and other groups and departments at the college. If you are interested in having any member of the coordinators of the steering committee to meet with your group or department, just please use the email, let us know, and we will try our best to accommodate you. Please join me in welcoming back Mr. George Payne for closing remarks.
Well, that concludes our presentations. Thanks very much. I hope we found the programs to be enjoyable and informative. Please let me review the subsequent meeting schedule. It's Directly following this meeting, we'll have a professional development presentation for non-bargaining staff in CU Theater 2. That's upstairs in this building. For those attending the AAUP meeting, that will be in this room. The AFSCME meeting will be held in CU 202. The SEIU meeting will be in HC 122. Lunch will be on your own from 12:30 to 1:30. There will be lunch for sale in the Cultural Arts Lobby concession stand for those who do not want to venture away from campus. Extra seating will be available in the Caforts building. This afternoon in this room at 1:30, there will be an equity inclusion presentation, followed by a safety and security presentation at 2:30. Please plan to stay this afternoon to listen to these two very important presentations. With that, thank you. Have a terrific day and a great semester.